Happy Wednesday, Stephen.
Happy Wednesday, John.
Man, great to have you with us again. It's a time of gratefulness, and people are looking forward to the holidays right now. And I'm grateful for you being here with us today. Stephen, you're currently at UCLA right now.
Yeah.
You're working hard there, but I'm grateful that you've taken some time out because I consider you to be our resident economist. And we have some really exciting things to discuss today, where the market is currently, where it's going in 2025, what's happening with the Trump administration and how that will impact 2025 as well. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, let's just jump right into it. So last week I was listening to the Goldman Sachs Exchange's podcast where they gave the 2025 projections. And what I find particularly interesting and relevant to the real estate industry is they're projecting the Fed to cut 25 basis points again this December, and then another cut in January, and then another one in March. But then it starts to get slowing down afterwards. So for quarter 2 and quarter 3 of 2025, they're projecting a cut maybe 25 basis points once a quarter. So that is a Fed projections for the upcoming year.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And you know what's interesting? We get asked all the time, hey, should I wait to purchase because I hear the rates are coming down, whatever. But the flip side to that coin is, what's the cost of waiting? If you see a property that you love right now, it's in the right school district, it's got all the shops and stores, it's close to your work, and you financially qualify, now might be the time to purchase that. And even though the rates are a little bit higher, there's less competition in the market. As soon as they announce a rate drop, those people that are sitting on the fence, what do? They jump into the market. Woo, the rates are low. And now there's more competition, which could change your purchasing power.
Yeah, also just buying the house that you need right now is there's a lot of other costs that aren't really factored into the housing price. For example, the convenience that you might get from moving to your home a year early, or your children's happiness, or whatever you're trying to do. There's a lot of other factors that factors into the pricing that aren't really related to the rates that might benefit a buyer to buying the house early. And also another thing is that you can always refinance your loans later. So I think giving yourself that early convenience and the safety, knowing that you have an ideal place to live, I think that's a great way to buy a house.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, inflation, interest rates, all of that stuff. What are your thoughts on inflation right now?
Yeah, so inflation is definitely an issue that we should look at recently because the most recent, the 10-year Treasury yield for the U.S. bonds is about 4.5%, which is, I believe, is a historical high. It's usually supposed to be around 3.5 or around 4, but 4.5 is ridiculously high, and a high bond yield historically has meant it's probably going to be inflation soon. However, I don't really think that is a big problem. At least it probably will not affect the Fed in cutting the rates for mainly 3 reasons. So the first reason is that the Fed has historically cut the rates based on performance of the labor market instead of how the GDP or the economy is growing. So there has been a few cases in the past where inflation has been really high, or is projected to be really high, but that did not stop the Fed from cutting the rates, because as long as everyone has a job, everyone is happy with their standing, and how everyone that wants a job has a job, then they will keep cutting rates despite the prices being high. So that's one reason why I think the inflation will not really affect the Fed in cutting the rates. Then the second reason I believe is that the inflation likely is due to the scare that Trump's tariffs will raise the prices for domestic products. So it is likely due to the tariffs that's jacking up the inflation rate instead of the interest rate cutting in the past. So we saw a 50 point and a 25 basis point cut in the recent past. And the third argument I would like to say is that the bond rates are projected to be lower, because it's also from the same source from Goldman Sachs Exchange podcast, where they said, although the rate is really high right now, the Goldman Sachs equity research team is still projecting the 10-year Treasury bond yield rate to be projecting going lower and lower throughout 2025. So I think the really high rate right now is likely due to another economic cause and probably not due to inflation and other reasons. So I think this is only a temporary concern that we may have, and it probably will not continue for the rest of the year. So that's why I think although inflation is projected to be high, I don't think that will affect how the Fed will decide to cut rates next year, and I think it is still going to be a healthy economy.
I truly appreciate your thoughts on that. And can you remind me again, how old are you?
I'm 18.
Oh, 18. Hey, 18. He knows all this stuff. My gosh.
I've been following the market, reading the news every day. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate a young man like yourself that has an interest, because some people around your age may say, who cares? I don't care. It doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
Does it? Of course it does, right? So let me ask you this. Trump's administration will be coming in here shortly. What impacts do you feel that'll have on the economy overall?
Yeah, so my short answer would be I believe Trump's economy is going to be healthier than what it was, mainly just for totally policy based. So Trump's biggest advocate is probably his tax cuts. So he plans to cut a lot of taxes both for corporates, businesses, and for consumers like ourselves. The basic economic principle is that the less taxes there is, the more spending power your US dollar will be. So now it gives us consumers, if there's a less sale tax on the things that we buy, that's probably going to encourage us to purchase more items that we usually wouldn't purchase. And for businesses and the factories, that's going to encourage them to have more spending to maybe acquire other businesses to expand their markets, or to maybe make investments that they wouldn't otherwise have without the tax cuts. So a few benefits this may have, and combined with Trump's deregulation of many industries, this may just increase the outputs of these businesses. So for example, if you're a coal power plant, or you're going for oil or natural gas, now because there's less regulations and less taxes, you can probably drill more oil than you had in the previous years.
Yeah.
And what this means is that for the businesses purchasing the energy from these oil drillers, the oil is going to cost less to these businesses. And what that means is for the products that they produce, it's going to be costing less than what it used to be. So therefore, it probably means the product that they're going to sell is going to be at a lower price, because the cost of making these goods will decrease. So what that means is inflation probably isn't going to be as bad, because Trump's other policies balances out the tariffs that he is going to impose. And speaking of the tariffs, I had just heard this morning, Trump had used the tariffs as a negotiation tactics many times during his past presidency. So the tariffs is not official yet. It's just a proposition that he has. We don't really know if they're going to go through. And because of the high inflation that is probably going to affect the economy, we don't know if Trump is actually going to put the tariffs in place. And knowing Trump's past presidential policies, he's likely just using the tariffs as a negotiation tactic with other countries like China, Mexico, and Canada, especially with the problems around the border and international trade with China. So this will likely probably not going to go through for the tariffs. So the inflation is probably not going to be as bad as the analysts project. And another reason is that, especially due to the mortgage markets, another deregulation that Trump has done is that he made less regulation in the Dodd-Frank Act, which is probably the basis of all the mortgage industry.
Absolutely.
So now the less regulation for the Dodd-Frank Act is going to make credit more available to more consumers, and therefore it's going to help more of the smaller banks compared to like Bank of America or these bigger lenders like UWM. The smaller banks are going to have more of a chance to stay in business and exist in the banking industry. That's going to help consumers and the mortgage industry overall. So we're going to have more access to more resources and have less spendings that we have to spend. So this is a great news for the housing market overall, and I'm pretty excited to see what's going on. And of course, these are all projections, so everything is likely to change, but I got most of these information from very credible analysts from around the world. So I believe this is a very reasonable projection of what the 2025 outlook, and especially the housing market, will be like.
Thank you for sharing that. That's so exciting. And the reason why I brought up your age earlier, 18, I'm going to throw another question at you that we didn't talk about before. But if I'm 18, or let's say I'm in my early 20s, maybe I'm still in school like you are at UCLA, why should any of this matter to me?
Yeah, me personally, studying economics just makes everything around me make a lot more sense, especially because especially if you have friends or parents who love shopping, you start realizing that their shopping behavior can be literally put into a formula in economics. You can see how people make their decisions, see the demand for products and the supply, how the businesses make decisions around you, and then you start looking into the marketing schemes around you. You see, they're just trying to make you purchase their products. So yeah, I mean, I think learning economics gonna help you, one, save a lot of money and make you make a lot more educated decisions, and especially like college age students like myself, that your money, your budget is tight. So learning economics is gonna help you budget, help you manage your money, and then also just like give you a sense of what is going on in the world. Because a lot of the times you see the politics, you see the talking heads on TV talking about different things, and like you would think, yeah, these things doesn't really affect who I am and where I live, but it really does, because a lot of the pricings and the things that you buy, the pricing into your gas that you put in your car, and then especially within 5 or 10 years, if you want to start a family or buy a house, like this is directly linked to how much your house is going to be priced and how the strategy that you're going to purchase a house. So everything is linked together, and I think it's never too late to start. The time you have used in the past is all sunk cost. So start now, start reading the news, get Wall Street Journal, they're $4 a month for students. Read the news. Yahoo Finance is free. So there's a lot of things that you can do, and I believe is a great way to spend your time.
Thank you for sharing that, Stephen Zhang. We appreciate your insights. I do consider you to be our resident economist here.
Yeah.
And we're going to do this on a regular basis because it's important for no matter what demographic, what age we are, where we're at, we need to pay attention. We can't have our heads buried in the sand, especially right now when there's major changes that are taking place.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. And we had a nice market update. We also can see what some of the impacts of a new presidential candidate will bring in, or I should say electee will bring in. So thanks again for joining us today, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you, John, for having me.
Absolutely. So that cuts that. And then what I want to do is something different. We didn't really talk about this, but if I'm younger, I'm age 18 is the legal age that you can get a state license.
Yeah.
You know, why should I look at, the mortgage business or, finance, things like that? Just keep it simple, like maybe 2 minutes or something like that.
I got it.
Is that cool?
I got that. Yeah.
I'll just ask you a question.
Yeah, all the questions you're asking, like I have that in my head already, because that came in before I decided to join you. I have my reasons.
I can't even, I wasn't even thinking close to what you're thinking when I was your age. I was thinking about, girls. I was thinking about other stuff that, have no bearing on life. And the fact of your seriousness, your approach, everything is just so helpful.
I think it's just the people around me, because I still have fun, a lot of fun in college. Like we go to football games, UCLA USC game the other day. I still play basketball like 2 hours a day. Like I still have a lot of fun, but yeah. Should I actually start talking?
Let's I'll start it right now.
But let's just restart.
Yeah. So, Stephen, we're here talking again. We enjoy speaking together, but I got to ask you, for the benefit of others who are age 18 and let's say maybe in that early 20s, trying to figure out what they want to do in life. You're in college right now at UCLA, and you are really, really knowledgeable about economics and where things are going. I want to ask you a question for others who are your age and a little bit older, trying to figure things out. Why does it matter that they start thinking about economics, and why should they even think about the mortgage business? What triggers your thinking?
Yeah, so I did learn theoretical economics in high school. I took microeconomics and macro, but all of these were just theory to me. They're not really applicable. But then it was until I joined John's business in the summer that I started seeing, okay, these economic stuff that I learned, they're actually applicable to in real life. And mortgage, I believe, is one of the best application of economic principles that you learn in school. So it makes everything you learn in school a lot more tangible and a lot easier to understand, quite frankly. And you learn in school, like the lower interest rate there is, the more spending there is, but it never really made sense, because like no high school student has had the money to buy houses themselves,
right,
or do like any big purchases themselves for them to care about the interest rate. But now, although I still don't have the money to buy a house, we worked with a lot of buyers and we see how they make their decisions. And I realized, okay, these economic policies are all real and they actually factor into our decisions. And one thing I believe that the mortgage industry is a great place to start your career is because although like your long-term goal might not be real estate at all, like it literally could be anything in finance, anything in Wall Street, investment banking, could be consulting, could go into like the buy side, private equity. No matter what you do, to pass the interviews, you need a very thorough understanding of the markets. And where is the best place to start learning about the markets? Probably the mortgage industry, because the interest rate is one of the biggest determinants of the macroeconomy, and the interest rate is probably ties the closest to mortgages than anything else. So this is a great place to learn about the markets, and plus it is one of the most flexible jobs in the world, I believe. As I still live on college campus, but however, I can still get the working done for John, and I can work remotely like as much as I want or as little as I want.
I might be sitting on an island somewhere while I'm working, and you don't even know it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like I can get some work done literally on the plane. So I think this is a great industry to get your career started, no matter how old you are. And it's never, believe me, it's never too old to start a career in mortgage industry. So as long as you love talking to people and you generally want to help other people move into their first house, this is a great place to start.
Thank you for your insights, Stephen. We're so excited for you because we know you're getting licensed here soon too. You'll be able to help so many people. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, John.